And welcome to the Juneteenth 196 2020 Special Edition. B-H Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. is honored to bring to you invited guests who will share their personal life stories from past to present. B-H Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. understands the importance of leaving a legacy behind after we're gone. We know that we are responsible in keeping our stories alive and creating opportunities for the voices of our communities to be heard and seen. The Juneteenth 196 2020 Special Edition will capture the essence of why we are celebrating and honoring the backs and shoulders of our ancestors who we are standing on today. Their faith, resilience, strength, blood, sweat, and tears are the building blocks for the generations to come. We are blowing into the winds of creation as we create and prepare the brilliant minds of the future towards excellence. I also want to remind everyone, if you are participating in this Zoom via Zoom, dial in, or any social media forms, you give B-H Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. the authorization to use your voice, your name, your picture, and your comments on our website and on our marketing materials. These series will be uploaded to bhbrilliantminds.org, www.bhbrilliantminds.org. This evening, I have one of my brothers in the house, Mr. Michael Harris. How are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm wonderful. Wonderful to be
Wow. I am so excited about this show, just as well I was excited about all the others, but you got what I need. Look, you got all our history, our information. So we are so excited to have you here tonight. So my question for you, the first question would be, tell us about yourself, your family, your upbringing, and your passion. I know it's all a couple of four different things in that one sentence, but I'll share with you if you need me to. But first of all, let's tell us a little bit about yourself and your upbringing.
Well, in a couple weeks, I'll be 57 years old. So there's a lot of history there just in my lifetime. But my parents, my mom was born in Lisbon, Alabama, and my father was born in Holly Ridge, Louisiana. And both these places are, we'll just call them the bush in the outback of the deep South.
All right,
deep
now
in the bush. Both communities less than 500 people when they were there. And so you go there now, you see trees. But I was born in Sacramento, California, at a place called Mather Air Force Base, a week after John F. Kennedy was killed in '63. And, the world changed for a lot of people when Kennedy died. And it certainly changed for me because the comfort inside my mama's womb was warm, and it's been a journey ever since. I didn't think the man needed to slap me. I was breathing just fine, but he did. But I've been clearly on the battlefield since, early child. Well, again, born in Sacramento, learned how to read and write in an early program, Head Start program, that they created in a place called Dos Rios Housing Projects in South Sacramento. Well, not in Sacramento. And went to elementary school, middle school, and high school. Kind of funny story. Next year will be our 40th high school reunion, and they sent the information, and I said, "Hey, ain't nobody here that old. This is return Sunday. Ain't nobody here. Y'all send this to me for? Hey, 40-year high school reunion." Kind of put it in perspective. But when you're a grandfather, I have one grandson, and actually I have two children. One Lily, she died. She got here a year. She said, "I'm going back. I'm going back
Oh, right now.
outside the universe." So she didn't stay here long, but I can't not mention her name. But yeah, and so after high school, I immediately left the nest and moved to Santa Cruz, and made my way around there. Got a associate degree, and then went into the military, fixed medical machines in the Army. Came back to Sacramento after a couple years in the military. Stayed in the reserves. Union Institute, still playing around, getting bachelor's and master's. I've been one class away from a bachelor's degree for about 20 years because, being the kind of rambunctious guy I was, they were telling me I couldn't get my degree in the area that I was. And so I threw the paperwork at them and left the room and haven't been back yet. One day I'll go back and get the BA degree. But I have proven myself a pretty good scholar with some pretty good teachers. I say the best teachers on the planet: white, black, purple, Mexican. I mean, I collect teachers, scholars, and ministers and bishops and whoever has knowledge. I sit with them long enough to ask some intelligent questions, and sometimes I get some information that they really didn't want to tell me. So anyway, what else about myself? I was married. I have 4 kids. They're all daughters. I have 1 grandson. And, my youngest daughter, she just graduated from high school. Of course, because of COVID, she didn't walk across the stage. And the school that she selected, she's still at home. She's not at college because they're not allowing folks to matriculate to that institution of higher learning, one of the UC campuses. So, throughout life, many different careers, and now recreating myself in this COVID virus world in multiple ways, doing multiple jobs and interests that lift up Black folks on this planet.
All right now. So tell us a little bit about your passion. What is your passion?
My passion. Well, my ultimate passion is the soft back of a beautiful woman.
I ain't mad at you. All right now.
That's
Be real.
This what they call it, social distancing. I'm like, it's wintertime. Lord have mercy. So, but the idea of passion is to grow spiritually, is to grow mentally, and just really claim a little more of this full dominion of the earth. There's places on the planet that I haven't been that I want to see and experience while, I can enjoy it and move and run away if I need to, or run toward it if I need to. So yeah, that's kind of a passion, because I really love history, and the best way to experience history is to go and experience it for yourself. Feel the temperature of the environment, meet the people where they are, sit with the grandma and the babies in their community. You learn more about history that way than reading it in a book or going to a museum and getting a sanitized version of it. If a baby comes to you and you could hold the baby, and there's only one baby language, so it's easy to talk to babies.
Right. And your name, you have a special name that you were given, and tell us, how did you get that name, and pronounce it for us?
Well, it's really more of a title, and it's Khubaka or Khubaka, real quickly. It's more of a rite of passage for me personally. Kui is the ancient homeland of the ancestors along the Nile Valley. And Ba and Ka, it's a spiritual journey. remembering the spirits of our ancestors, my soul will live forever is a loose, rough translation. And it's something that for roughly 20 years now, I'm close to fulfilling the requirements to legally change that name.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. Now, how did you get it? Who did you go through a ceremony to get the name? Were you chosen for it? How did you come about the name?
Well, it was it was more of a evolution into the name. And when I first really gravitated for Kui land, I was in a conversation with Theophilo Benga, and he came up to Sacramento, and he was teaching us the Medu Netter, and we sat outside. You must go. I said, go. Hey, you coming back tomorrow? So we sat outside and drank a 6-pack, just he and I, and the other folks were like, no, that's the esteemed scholar. I ain't drinking with him. I'm like, well, he wanted beer, so I went and got it. Nobody else drinking. And so just him and I drinking beer, and we had nice conversations. So Kui land and some of the things that he imparted, in words and in deeds, and you must be serious. I said, I can't get no more serious. I'm doing the best. But yeah, so Kui is a place where people like Obenga, for example, one of his friends died, and it was a homegoing ceremony for Dr. Jacob Carruthers, and I never met him. I've read his books, and people were talking about their personal experiences, and Dr. Obenga was like, you must go. And I'm like, so I got to go up and talk about somebody on the rostrum in front of everybody about a man I don't know. And so, when I sat down, he said, you did good. And I'm looking at him, and he said, you do well. And I'm like, so it's things like that over time, in multiple teachers that, in ways there's a higher expectation.
Yes.
And so, be 57 now is some things that I have to let go of, and some things I have to gravitate towards to, make not only my living ancestors proud, but the ancestors, I shouldn't say my living elders proud, and then the ancestors that are not here anymore. So one day I'll sit with them as an esteemed elder on high in the realm of unseen.
Wow. So, I have to go there with what grounds you? What grounds you, in this teaching and in your learning and in that expectation of that you put on yourself, even though our ancestors put it on us, but how do you ground yourself?
I'm still working on that part, grounding, and it changes over time. Usually it's water. And, being a fire sign, Sagittarius, many times in my life where things get really contentious, I just go to the ocean and get in the water, and it helps, or the river or the lake. Right. But the ocean is best for me.
Right. And, it's so amazing that you said that, because this is what it's here for us to bask in the elements of God, of the creation, of all of this uniqueness that we have here. So when we go and become one with it, we get revelations, we get information. It's you come out of there like, whoa, this is what I need to be doing. Okay. Right. Your direction. So I commend you on that. The other question would be, did you choose your profession, or did your profession choose you?
Well, the profession definitely chose me. I did not expect to spend many years of my life chasing down ghosts, playing in cemeteries, spending time in exotic places and libraries. So no, when you make a choice, sometimes the choice chooses you. And a lot of times when there's nobody else doing the work and you say, well, Lord have mercy, let me go. And so, yeah, you must do.
Well, but you know what? That just came back to what he said, you must go. Well, he said, you must go. That was a part of the journey. Yeah. You know, you going into the libraries and going into those exotic places. And you know, when I'm just hearing you say it, and because of the spirit being on high, it makes it like, whoa, this is deep. This is good. Your soul is fulfilled. Just by me hearing you, that's like, for me, it's like, oh, my soul is getting fed. So all of the information and all of those resources and things that you are doing, that's why it's important for us to allow our people and folks to tell their stories, because your stories are so important, and your stories can either heal, prepare, or help someone along the way on their actual journey. Our stories, for me, is not just for me, it's for someone else. It's to inspire them, it's to motivate them, it's to uplift them. So, you know, being not afraid to share with people the bad, the good, the ugly, the challenging, you know, and all of that. It's that's why I'm so grateful and honored to be able to have this opportunity to bring in the community and tell their stories. I am just so, we are, every time we do this, we are like on high. It's so deep.
That's right.
I am so grateful. Go ahead.
Well, no, what you're saying is absolutely true. And it's the time for that, you know, with everything that's going on, not just on this planet, but in the universe that we know of. There is grounding in the universe, alignment. People say climate change. Well, man is doing some of it, but the tilt of the earth is doing a little bit more. Oh, yeah. As the earth revolves around the central fire, our sun, and as our sun revolves around the central fire in the Milky Way, we ain't that powerful. We ain't that significant in the grand scheme of things, although each one of us is divine and uniquely individual. And the more that we are able to move fear, ignorance, superstition away, the more we align with the creator of all that we know. That's right. Yes. Wow. So, you know, my next question would be for you. I know we touched on, what do you do for self-care? I know grounding is a little different, but what do you do for self-care? You know, for that's a good question. Self-care is now lately just on my hands and knees, intentionally pulling weeds up. Sometimes I throw the shovel away and just get on my hands and knees and pull the weeds and look deep into the soil as I do that. And it grounds me that way. Also mindful about drinking more water. And, you know, as you get older, you know, the aches and pains come, and it's like, this is what Mama was talking about. That's what, you know, Big Mama was talking about. And icy hot, you know, sometimes you have to, like, you know, put this stuff on before you start hurting. To ground yourself. To help you move along the way. Well, yeah, I mean, if you know a certain times of the year or the month, that, I mean, like now the weather just changed all of a sudden. It seemed like overnight. I mean, you saw the weather forecast, you knew it was gonna get cold, but you know, when the cold is deep in your bones, it's too late. You can't get it out. So you might want to get the long johns. I'm scrambling to find them. Just put them on beforehand. Don't wait till it get cold. You know, that's right. Same thing, you know, grounding yourself. You know, like this time, the holidays are coming up, and there's going to be a lot of fun, but there's also going to be a lot of challenges, particularly this year. You haven't seen folks, you know, you're not going to see no more because they died. Yeah. And you need to prepare for that before, you know, you get into those situations with people. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm, you know, looking at right now. Right. You know, so as an African-American Black man, how important is brotherhood to you? You know, it's becoming more and more important. And then it's more of looking for a brotherhood that transcends the way I was raised. Like today,
Yes.
ran into a very one of the first friends that I ever knew. But
Wow.
we've been on different paths for a little while, and but then there's this brotherhood that's there. It can't be dismissed, because you could go back 55 years, in a sentence.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
things that are common, but then how it impacts and how it's focused on today is different. So yeah, brotherhood, it needs to be another adjective along with that.
All right, tell me about it. Let's go.
We need to dive a little deeper in saying, there's a brotherhood that transcends race. There's a brotherhood that transcends generational age. It's more of a spiritual connection, and a destination of what we want to do as men in the 21st century, in this transition period. So, I have some friends that I've known over 50 years that are white, that are in many ways more of a brother than some brothers. I know, I'm not saying that. I know where we have common ground, there's a trust and a love that, it's not about race. It's just, I've known you for half a, century.
Right.
And in this space, I can trust this man, and there's other people that are, coming close to that. I just won't let them in. They want to go further. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Well, and that's where I'm at. Part of me, as Afrocentric as I can be, I know that in spirit, I need to be a little more open, but and that's something that I have to be conscious about, because I'm mindful that for example, I have been up in the foothills rolling with Klansmen, right? I can't let my heart all the way down with the Klansmen. I just can't do it, as spiritual as they want to be, because some of them are really trying to do right, because they know they ain't gonna live here forever, and they want to get right. That's just not my job. I can't do that. I'm not gonna do that yet. I can't.
Everybody's chosen for something totally different, a purpose. We stay in our lane.
Well, yeah, because it might not be him, might be his friends, and I'll be behind the truck being drugged down the road. Don't do it to Mike. Not Mike. Well, my eyes are popping out my head and parts.
No, I don't want that to happen to you, brother.
Oh, it's not going to happen.
We've been knowing each other for, over at least 18 years, though.
Yeah, longer
Is it 18 or longer?
Well, that's like, watch this.
Oh, before my kids.
Before the turn of the century.
Yes. Look, let me get it right.
Well, see, that's, it's a shame that's a for real marker. It's like, okay, Prince was singing about 1999. Did I know you? Yeah, I did.
That is true.
What's this? Samuel Gallery down there on the waterfront, right?
Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Oh my Lord! Yes!
Yeah,
yes. Oh my God! And you know what? We've been moving and shaking and doing this thing ever since back then. This same with the community, making sure we uplift and making sure we give back and making sure we educate. Making sure we've been doing this, it's amazing to be able to talk to people that know you for a long time. And it's like, it reminds me, man, I've been doing this for a long time. Go ahead.
Well, and it is part of who we are, because the blood that's in our veins requires it. Our mothers, our fathers, their parents, there's a constant reminder of the responsibility just when you wash your face in the morning.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when you made mention earlier about the time you were born, and it was when JFK was assassinated.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a firm believer in people going back to see that year, and in that time they were, you know, in their mama's womb,
Right.
because it plays a role with your purpose. That's me. I was born in the Civil Rights Movement, 1964. So
Right.
When I'm doing the different work and when I'm doing certain things, I'm like, no wonder. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I get it. So,
Yeah.
and a light comes on and it brings in a clarity for me, you know, and it's like, I love being able to do this, you know, and it's purposeful. Because on this side, I want to live a purpose driven life. I want my life to be, I don't want my life to be in vain. You know, earlier, I did crazy stuff, you know, but thank the Lord for turning a sister around. You know what I'm saying? So being able to now not harm my community, but give back to my community, it's important for me. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's what you're saying is, I mean, it's the reality, the blessing that we have just to have, you know, lived our life, most of our lives in Northern California.
Yes.
You know, this place is magical. It is, well, California is the 5th largest economy on the planet.
You know I'm going there. You know I'm going.
So
go ahead.
Know, in a place that's named after a Black woman. I mean, so
come on now. Look, you jumping ahead of me, but that's all right. Go.
But that is, you say what grounds you, and part of that is what grounds you. I mean, just think about this. The water that you drink your whole life, it comes from the Sierra Nevada, you know, pristine water source, and it goes into, you know, they've been trying to mess it up now, but when we was kids, that water was just straight from the mountains.
That's right.
You know, and when we get rain that fall on us, it's pure. And then just the environment, the seasons, you know, and just for me, just driving from Sacramento to the Bay Area, still, when I get to see the lights of the city, it changes. I feel good, and I know, you know, there's a role and responsibility in that blessing to be from this soil.
That's
the world. People all over the world came here looking for gold, but there was already a magnetism that was here simply because of the geography. And we don't, you know, on a conscious level, really take that in consideration, most of us. Some people in the environmental justice movement really understand that, hey, there's a role and responsibility to not only take care of here, but to help take care of the world, you know, and, you know, now it sounds like, you know, grandma talking about full dominion of earth. Well, you got, it's another world over there, and you got some things to do over there too.
That's right.
You know, that's part of being Eastern Star, grandmama. I hear you.
Hey, look, our parents were Eastern Stars too, and we were in the, yes, we were. So you know what, my other question for you, and this will be the last one, and then I'm going to transition over into the other questions I want to ask pertaining our history and all of that good stuff. What would you like to create, share, or give to the world for your legacy?
Oh, yeah. So, 1996, we set up the Sacramento African Cultural Center, and it's has gone through many challenges. So the legacy will be a lasting partnership, kind of like the Schomburg Center. It was the Leidesdorf Center, or I should say it is the Leidesdorf Center, but there needs to be a feminine component to that. And I haven't been able to find his mother. He didn't marry. So I don't know how to do that quite yet, but it has to be a center that focuses on the authentic history of California and the authentic role that people of Pan-African ancestry have played in the totality of the California experience. That is going to happen, and that will be my legacy, part of my legacy.
That's right.
Besides
Yes.
little
Well,
ones running around.
Well, at least you have something that you do want to give to the world, so that's a good thing. So, tell us, we're celebrating and getting folks to understand the history of our culture,
right?
And our culture builds, everything else builds off of it,
right?
However, share with us about our ancestors. I'm going to give you the floor and let the spirit move you on the information that you want to share, because this is a part of your legacy. This is why we're doing this. This show is a part of your legacy, that when people hear it or see it, they will be educated and hopefully inspired and excited about what they hear and have seen. Go ahead.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and really trying to conceptualize and then put it in a timely way, the totality of our being. So when being came into being, and in the Nile Valley traditions, it's called the Septepi, when being came into being. So it's a construct along the Nile Valley where Ptah, a ancient Kemetic word that is documented in the oldest written book that we know of on the planet. So there's this whole legacy that we have of written documentation that comes out of the Nile Valley. But there's also many other cultures that didn't have the, I guess the word I'll use is cognition, to write it down. They weren't, to the place where in their development that they wrote things down. And so ancient Egypt has that, ancient Kemetic civilization has that written script that we are able to decipher today. So we're talking about, a long time ago. I'm just gonna say it like that. I'm not gonna put no numbers on it. A long time ago. No different than the ancient mounds here in the United States and the pyramids all up and down the Nile Valley. But there's pyramids all up and down the Mississippi Valley, And so the timeline of people that flow in my veins, both on this, in the Western Hemisphere and in Mother Africa, it's important to put that in a context for people to understand, because for so long we weren't able to do either. We don't talk about our Native American experience here, because we wasn't running around with feathers. That ain't us. That's something else. And we certainly wasn't running around Africa naked and not having any culture, the way
they portray us.
Both sides, subservient to Tarzan. That ain't us either. So so who are we, and how do we do that? So there's a lot of work to be done. But there's like, if you go to San Francisco, the MOAD, Willie Brown snuck a museum into a brand new hotel. You go down to LA, they have the African American Museum that they snuck into the agricultural department and built that. There's some museums down in San Diego where Professor Ambers, he took it upon himself to do that. Here in the capital of California, we don't have a museum. There's nothing here that is a museum. We have some art spaces, but we don't have any place that quantifies, documents our history. So that's part of the role and responsibility that we do. But if we just say like 1442 is where I'm like really focusing in on, when the Pope says, hey, look, we're fighting with these Muslim folks and we need to figure out how to curtail these African people. And so that is when Spanish and Portuguese start first bringing people of enslaved prisoners of war to these shores and down into Brazil and in the islands. And then we just, deal with that from 1442 down in Kikongo, where the first ship of enslaved prisoners of war come to the shores of what we call America today. It was a British colony in 1619. And so you see, we start moving fast, and then that British colony, because of the desire to be free from, you know, some well-heeled white folks that create the 13 colonies and say 1776 that this is America. We ain't, you know, we free. That they all got, you know, I should say all, the vast majority of them had enslaved Africans, you know, propping up their freedom. 1776, all men created equal, all of them having slaves. You know, the bounty was the men, the booty was sisters all day long, creating wealth for these folks. And then we fast forward, you know, to a civil war, ended in 1865, you know, that began a quasi-freedom for people of African descent that lasted just, you know, 10 years. You know, side note, we're doing that kind of thing right now with this reconstruction that happens after Martin Luther King's birthday in 2021. But in 1865, this notion that we're going to give a black man a gun to go fight for his freedom, we just don't understand what really went down. And let's say over 500,000 white folks, well, more like 600,000, I can't sell them short, died for us to be free in a civil war. And in all the wars that's happened between since the Civil War to the troops on the ground, right? Yesterday was Veterans Day. There's people in America, we fighting wars right now. They ain't talked about because we got other stuff to talk about. But there's troops in harm's way tonight, shooting at somebody and somebody shooting back at them all over the planet, you know, to maintain this notion of freedom and justice for all, enforced in a way that we don't know, or we didn't have a say-so in it.
Right.
As people supposed to be citizens, but we don't know what these people are doing in our name. So yeah, there's this big, broad notion, but as people of faith, we're supposed to have full dominion of the earth, so we can't pretend that we don't have a say in this.
Right.
Because we do. And we have to organize like minds, and not just black minds. We need to organize like minds and say, hey, look, we can create a future for our children that is more human, that is more appreciative of the human experience, and that reflects an interfaith notion of being on planet Earth. You know, you don't have to hurt somebody else to magnify yourself. That's somebody else's thinking. We all can come up and be who I just want to be what I want me to be. Something like that, right? And really feel that with that bass line going. But to kind of summarize it, it's really a wonderful time to be alive. And so yes. the world is focused in this global pandemic on taking a step back, taking a pause. The earth has had a chance to heal. The animals are taking back the forest. And people are starting, you know, in my circles, are starting to reevaluate of what's important. Mm-hmm. And if you don't even know who your grandfather or how he lived or his experience, or your great grandfather, or even your mother and father for that matter, now is the time to do that. That's you got right. The time, you got the space, you got the technology, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier. Do you have the courage, you know, to even, and I'm looking at my notes, to honor the faith, the resiliency, the blood, the sweat and tears, yes. Right? You know, to get to the smile that's on your face, you got to go back and acknowledge the blood that's in your veins that allow you to smile. You have to. You have to. Otherwise, you're not going to smile. Why?
That's right.
Because there's something going to be missing. You take the good, the bad, the ugly, and you know, make it something that you can enjoy and feel good about yourself.
That's right. Woo. All right, brother. You know, so I know you was talking about California was is named after a Black woman. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Okay, yes.
For what you know?
Well, the notion, the earliest notion of California comes out of, you know, some European men that are writing in Spain, and they're sending out their conquistadors looking for this place called California, and they find a place, and they in their book. His name's not important right now, but the guy was Hernan Cortez, and it's 1535, and they're attempting to colonize and capture this new land called California. And they're down in La Paz, and they're, you know, in their documentation, they're fighting these Black women, and, you know, they have bows and arrows. These other men have guns. And so there's a battle going on. And so as the battle, and this is in the state capitol, the story is there on the fourth floor in the California state capitol of Queen Calafia. And in her hand is an astrolabe, which is a instrument that's used for sailing, the chart and the stars. And so we know that that astrolabe is from the Andalusia Peninsula, where we call Spain and Portugal. But it wasn't created by them. It was created by the Islamic culture. And so Khalifa is a title of a woman ruler. And so that's, you know, and so it's all there. It's just not presented very well. When you have, you know, when they say a woman of color, no. When you have a woman of melanated pigmentation that's expressing herself, her hair is flowing, she got dreadlocks on the steps of the Capitol, she got dreadlocks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, almond eyes and dreadlocks, you know, and you're in this 100-degree heat, you know, you're going to be dark skinned. Yeah.
Right.
So the name California starts off with this notion of colonization by the Spanish of the really diverse indigenous people that are up from the tip of Baja all the way up, you know, into the Oregon border. These native tribes all are melanated because you are in California. It's hot here. It's hot. People say California comes with the name is hot. Well, yeah, but it's not always hot. And they were migratory people that lived here. So, you know, the legacy of California is there. The documentation is there. It's just we haven't focused on that because we want to tell this story of chasing the gold and listening to a one-sided story of some white men chasing gold. And that's just not the reality. There were Native American people here, the people of African descent here, people from all over the globe found their way to California. And on the state seal, it says, Eureka, I found it. Well, who was here before they found the gold? It's people of indigenous people, very melanated. Yeah, so that's California in a nutshell. But the piece that is so important is that California is named after a Black woman. Now, what culture you want to give her, you got to go down to Laredo or Mogi, the tip of Baja, and look at their language. They did not speak Spanish, so we got to eliminate that. There was no Mexico, you know, till the Black man with an afro helped fight and create Mexico. So who are these melanated dark women? I want to know. You know, you know, the smaller her back, 6 foot tall. Yeah, it might be some place to explore.
All right now. Speaking from a man's point of view, I ain't mad at you. It's your comment. Hey, it's your show.
Well, I mean, you know, when you talk about grounding, I mean, anything in the universe, you have just the way our universe is put together. You have positive protons and neutrons and electrons, and everything is trying to find balance. I can't think of a better place to look for balance.
I'm glad you find it right there. I'm glad you find it right there. So what would be one of our, I know there's so many of our ancestral heroes and sheroes that probably speak to you in spirit. Who would speak to you? For me, it's Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman. So
lately I've been in Delilah Beasley is like really somewhere I got to dive into her, because her personal journey to capture the early history of California, and she was unapologetic about looking to really document the early history of Black women in California history. So yeah, there's pops out in my mind right now is like Sylvia Starks, who had to walk around with a B on her chest because she was very fair skinned and folks didn't know if she was Black or not. So they said, "Baby, you got to wear a B when you."
Wow.
So she left in 1854 and went up to Canada. She's on the money up in Canada.
Wow.
Black woman, Sylvia Starks. Biddy Mason down in LA, who walked out here behind the Mormons enslaved and sued and got her freedom and helped establish a real estate empire downtown LA and created the AME Church, first AME, the most powerful Black church in Los Angeles, AME Church, in terms of money and economics and political influence. God is where you find him. If you celebrating God, you're more powerful than that church. But in terms of political, religious institution, they're there, and the sister did that. In San Francisco, we have Mary Ellen Pleasant, and people are just starting to really understand her contribution, helped finance the creation of what we call the Civil War, and took the money back personally, because the first installment was not done the way it was supposed to be. So she took it back, the second installment herself. There's the women that set up the schools, the women that were behind the men. Coming up is the California Color Convention, and it was all men at the convention. But, our early pioneers didn't come out here by themselves. We came out here with, our families. And so who are these sisters that's, if a brother is bad, I'm talking about super bad, like Reverend Jeremiah Sanderson, super bad brother. Where's his wife? Where's her story? The first, one of the strongest Black military men, Charles Young, we're just now starting to piece together information about his wife, Ida Mills, who, she was born up in the gold rush country, but she was there at first AME in Oakland.
Wow.
And so what kind of sister captures the eye of one of the strongest military men we had born in slavery? So those stories of Black women in the early pioneer California experience, and it might be because I don't have one next to me at night. Maybe that's why I'm looking for in history, since I can't reach over.
The Lord gonna bring you he gonna get you your rib. You gonna find her.
You say a rib?
No, the rib that came out of you.
No, I tell this, it's funny because earlier you asked me, well, how's your woman? I said, I don't have one of them right now. Because, it's funny, one of the things that we were having challenges with, because I, from time to time, go to the barbecue grill and put some ribs on there. And she talking about being vegan. And I'm like, hey, I don't know how that's going to work. That's an appetizer, the salad and the potato. That ain't the meal, baby. But no, I've figured out ways around that, Yes. With the next one. So I'm gonna lead a rib story.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna lead a rib story. See, our traditions, we had that rib story.
You know, as we said it earlier. I mean, another one, laughter is important. If you don't have laughter, if you can't be yourself, you know, that's why we want to make sure that these interviews, these personal interviews were laid back conversations on telling our story. But, you know, we can laugh, we can have joy, we can have peace. It's just not negative all the time. It's just being able to have a conversation and learn about somebody else. You know, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it really is kind of deep, because who are you? You know, I went to school, you know, the chalkboard was black and me in my class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And, you know, the classroom next door, well, nobody in there black, you know.
That's right.
You had to go around the bend. My brother was over there in another classroom. My sister was around. And so there may have been 20 people out of, I don't know, 500 black.
Right.
And so the you know, all intensive purposes, you was raised as little white folks.
Yeah.
You know, and Jesus was white, you know, and Frosty the Snowman was white, and, you know, Superman was white.
Which we know, that's another story. I'm going to leave that alone, because he said he had bronze feet and wool hair. So I'm going to leave that one alone, though.
But I'm saying is how we were indoctrinated. And so you just can't get rid of that early training. It just don't, you know, leave you. And then so me as, say around 25 years old, I kind of probably went overboard. I didn't want nothing white, you know.
Right.
I ain't even ate no vanilla ice cream.
You know
I don't want nothing white.
Whoa.
You know, give me that brown sugar. I don't want no. So I'm saying, you know, as a culture of people, we need to have some serious conversations on how what does it mean to be African American? Right. What does it mean to become a spiritual person in a white man's version of God? What does it mean to say we're going to form a more perfect union? So we're going to be the best white man we can be? What are you saying? And so how is that bounced off and balanced with what somebody else is saying? So right now it's just like whatever you want it to be. Black Lives Matter. I said, well, when? So since this year, it matters. So
no, it's been matters since birth.
Okay. I think it started mattering at creation.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It's been exactly. So it's been altered for the pleasure and the exploitation of somebody else. No different than in our Constitution. California Constitution says that Black people are not citizens.
And it still says that we 3/5 of a human being. So when people understand, if you look at the Constitution, it says that, well, it tells you what to think about you anyway. So, you know, hey.
So we, and this is part of it, we have to, the talented 10th have to figure out a way for everybody to have a little bit more of their humanity in them. And, you know, no different than just last year, it became a law for a Black woman to wear her hair the way she wants to. So are we going to need a law for a Black woman to think the way she wants to?
Come on now.
Hey, how Black is a Black woman going to be before it's okay?
Wow.
Well, Black Lives Matter, but you too Black.
Yeah. Well, you know, time has wind up. This was so much fun. So to hear the word freedom, what does the word freedom mean to you when you hear that?
To me, freedom means, I'm thinking the etymology of the word, and for me, it is allowing the God within me to be expressed in a positive way.
All right now. Well, we want to say thank you, Mr. Michael Harris. And B.H. Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. will continue to invite everybody to celebrate our Juneteenth 196 2020 special edition with us. And how we came up with Juneteenth 196 is that if you were to count from June the 19th to December the 31st is 196 days. We didn't get to do our celebration in the streets like we normally do. But however, we took it to another level in our virtual circles and bringing personal interviews to our audience. And we just want to say thank you again. What we also shared for the theme for this year was we are the breath of our ancestors. We will never break because we are history shakers and makers. This is in honor of acknowledging that Black culture, Black mind, Black breath, and Black lives do matter. And we are saying it loud because we are Black and proud. And I definitely want to thank our sponsorer. Without our sponsor, we wouldn't have this opportunity to bring you this virtual Juneteenth celebration. And it is the Win-Rose Foundation of the Common Council Foundation. We're so grateful and honored to them. Yes, Win-Rose Fund of the Common Council Foundation. These sessions, personal interviews, will be uploaded to our website, www.B-HBrilliantMinds.org. They also will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. You will be able to send folks your to the website to be able to view other interviews and yours. And we are about creating legacy. And this is a part of the legacy for the B.H. Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. that we're doing. We're giving back to our community. We're so grateful and thankful for having this opportunity and allowing you guys to let us into your lives. And we love you. We appreciate you. And again, if you have participated in this session, you give B.H. Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. the authorization to record your voice, use your name, your comments, take your picture, and it will be uploaded to our website. And this is for us to be able to do marketing and being able to inspire and give back to our community.
That's right.
We're so thankful and grateful to you.